So I got one of these little oil catch cans here, and a lot of people argue on whether or not to even run these or vent straight to atmosphere. So here's a solution I came up with to appease both crowds. First, I pop the drain plug out, and then slap a 3/8 NTP to a 3/4 barb. That's a lot bigger than I thought it'd be. The next step is to install your oil catch can. And of course, because I have an early 1990 Miata, the windshield wiper motor is facing towards the engine instead of away from it, so I don't have any space right there. I had to bend my clutch line a little bit and install the catch can at a slight angle, but that's okay. Now that your catch can is installed and all your hoses are hooked up, you're done. You see, under idle and cruise, your intake manifold is under a vacuum, which sucks air out of the crankcase. All right, fresh air enters this little breather cap here, gets all that crappy air out of the crankcase, gets sucked into the oil catch can where all that crap is separated from the air, and then clean air flows into your intake manifold. That's great, fine, and dandy unless you have a turbo. Under boost, now your intake manifold is under pressure. Now air wants to flow backwards through the system and pressurize the crankcase, and that's really bad. That's why we have a one-way check valve. The only problem with that is under boost, now all your blow-by has nowhere to go, okay? Except out of this one little breather, and that's not enough. So that's why I added another hose to the oil drain and another check valve down there, just a little bit bigger of a check valve. Now what that allows me to do is when I'm under boost, blow-by can still flow into the oil catch can and straight out the bottom. Okay? And yes, it does kind of put all that crap out into the air, but no worse than having one of these over here as well. So, I mean, overall, I think the system's going to work. It allows me to retain positive crankcase suction on 99% of driving when you're having a slight vacuum on the intake manifold, and then when you hit boost, it still allows that blow-by to get out of the system. So if you watch my previous video on the catch can with the draft tube that I installed, here's a quick shot of the draft tube under the car. Well, I pressurized my crankcase to see where that massive oil leak I talked about on the last video is coming from. And when I let all that pressure out through the catch can there, it spit out all this. Just look at that. The camera would focus, but all this right here is just oil and acidic water and just nasty stuff that would have gone into the intake manifold in the combustion chamber if it wasn't separated in that catch can. So honestly, catch cans, in my opinion, should come stock on cars, but yeah, you don't want that gumming up your valves and getting mixed in with that air fuel mixture and lowering the octane. It's bad stuff there.